Welcome everyone to Insights into the weekly Haftorah. This week is the fourth of the 7 Haftorahs of consolation. As we mentioned, they all come from the book of Isaiah. This week's parsha is Shoftim, and the Haftarah comes from the 51st chapter of Isaiah, starting with the 12th verse, and runs through the 52nd chapter, the 12th verse. This is a fairly long Haftarah. It is totally classic, as we'll see why. How many verses here become important parts of our prayers. Excuse me, I just had to get a text here. Okay, so these are all called Haftorahs of consolation. So it goes without doubt that almost all of this Haftarah in different ways is consolation. Sometimes it mentions how we've been in exile, the kind of oppression that we have experienced. But the theme running through the whole thing is consolation, redemption, and the future messianic era. So here I want to just point out some of the important things that come from this Haftarah. In the class that we just had, for those who were listening or watching, about King David, and we mentioned how many ideas in his Psalms were incorporated in the prayers. In this Haftarah, we see 3 different verses from Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi is one of the most famous songs of all of Jewish prayer that we sing every Kabbalat Shabbat, every Friday night, greeting the Shabbos bride, and written by Shlomo Halevi from Tzfat, a follower of the Ramak. And so here, if we go to verse 17, it says, Hitorari, Hitorari, Kumi Yerushalayim. Wake up, get up, Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim was destroyed. And here the consolation is God saying, Yerushalayim, get up, get up. If you go to Lecha Dodi, one of the verses is Hitorari, Hitorari, Ki ba'orech kumi ori. Wake up, because your light has come. Wake up, the light. Comes right from this Haftarah. A second one is, it says in the beginning of the 52nd chapter, it says, Uri, Uri, livshi uzech Sion. So again, it's like, it's the same root as hitorari. Get up from the dust. Excuse me. Get up. Clothe yourself in strength, in garments of splendor. So here it says, Kumitzai mitoch hafecha. Wait 1 second. I'm sorry. Hit na'ari me'afar kumi. Exactly what it says here. Wake up from and dress yourself. Leave shei big day tifartech ami. And dress in clothings of beauty and splendor, my people. Again, right from the verse here. And then it says, Hit na'ari me'afar kumi, Shavi Yerushalayim. Get up from the dust and stand up the exiles of Yerushalayim. And that's again in Lecha Dodi, where it says, Hit na'ari me'afar kumi. So here we see that around a third of all the verses from Lecha Dodi are inspired from the words of Isaiah that are in this Haftorah. Another one that we say all of the time is, especially in benching, and when we say grace after meals, U'bnei Yerushalayim ir hakodesh. So where does that come from? And build Yerushalayim, the holy city. Comes right from this Haftorah, where it's in verse 1 of the 52nd chapter. It says, Yerushalayim ir hakodesh. That's Isaiah is really the first calling Yerushalayim the holy city. So here we see the tremendous influence of Isaiah in general, but specifically in this Haftorah. Another one is that the cardinal prayer of Judaism is the Amidah. We pray it 3 times a day, on holidays and Shabbat 4 times, the Amidah. And before the Amidah, we end the previous section by saying, Baruch atah Hashem, Ga'al Yisrael. Blessed are you, God, who has redeemed Israel. And here it says, Ga'al Yerushalayim. Here, Isaiah is saying that God is the one who redeems Yerushalayim. One of the blessings in the Amidah is for God to rebuild the city of Yerushalayim. And one of the blessings is also Goel Yisrael. But here, Isaiah says, Ga'al Yerushalayim. So this is one of the sources of this blessing before the Amidah. If we go back, Isaiah talks about the terrible oppression that the Jewish people experienced while in exile. And it says that a time is coming that will be full of God's fury and the rebuke of God. And then it says, therefore, listen now to this, O afflicted one, drunk, but not with wine. Behold, I have taken from your hand the cup of stupefaction, and the cup of my fury. No longer shall you drink from it again, but I will put it into the hand of your tormentors. So here the image is God is taking this cup of fury that the Jewish people experienced, and now he's going to take it and put it in the hands of those who oppressed us. The reason I'm mentioning this is if we remember at the Seder of Pesach, when we get to saying the 10 plagues, and there are 2 different traditions. As we say each plague, we either pour out a little wine 10 times, or we put our finger in the wine and we take a drop out of the cup. There's two opposite explanations for this. One is, even though the plagues were needed to free Israel from bondage, nonetheless, the Egyptians are also made in the image of God. They're human beings. And they just like we suffered under the Egyptians, now the Egyptians were suffering through the plagues. So we take out a drop of wine to acknowledge that their suffering makes it that our cup isn't full. That's one explanation. There's another explanation that is exactly the opposite, and it comes from right here, where that we say, when we take out a drop, that we say that this drop is literally just a drop from the cup of God's fury that in the end of days will be directed towards those who tormented, exactly what Isaiah says here, who tormented the Jewish people throughout history. So here again, you have the source. And one last one is in the 7th verse of the 52nd chapter. It says, Ma navu al haharim raglei mivaser, mashmiya shalom mivaser tov, mashmiya Yeshua. So it says, how beautiful ascending the mountains are the footsteps of the herald who is saying peace, heralding good, making heard salvation upon Zion. So on Hoshana Rabbah is the last day of Pesach, of Sukkot. And the prayers of Hoshana Rabbah are unique in the whole year. They put together the way that we chant the prayers of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Instead of just making one hakafa, one circuit around the synagogue with our arba meaning, the 4 species, we make 7 Hoshana Rabbah. It's the 7th day of Sukkah. And there's very long prayers, very, very impactful, forceful. Towards the end, we put down our 4 meaning and we pick up 5 willow branches. And we hold these 5 willow branches. And the last prayer is based on this verse that I just read. How beautiful ascending the mountains are the footsteps of the herald, making heard peace, heralding good, making heard salvation. And that's in English, but in Hebrew, it is kol mivaser v'yomer. A voice speaks out. It speaks out and it says. And then there's for me, it's one of the most beautiful, powerful, potent prayers of the whole year. It is totally messianic, and it's all about Mashiach coming. But you keep on repeating, Kol mevaser v'yomer. A voice is announcing, it is saying. And then at the end, we actually, the whole congregation yells it out together 3 times. Kol mevaser v'yomer. And it's like the story of Mashiach coming. It's like virtual reality. When you're in the midst of this prayer, it's like happening. And it comes right from this Haftorah. So what we can learn here is we see that 3 of the verses of Lecha Dodi come straight from this Haftorah. This final climactic prayer on Hoshana Rabbah comes from this Haftorah. And every time we bench, and in our prayers, we always refer to Yerushalayim as Ir HaKodesh, the holy city, also comes from here. So from this, we can see the tremendous influence of Isaiah on all of Jewish literature after him. The Lecha Dodi was only composed approximately 500 years ago. So that is approximately 2,200 years after Isaiah. His words are still ringing through Jewish tradition. So when we read this week, we should keep this in mind, and we should pray that all of this consolation will truly lead to Mashiach coming.